Snowpeak, the mountain to the north of Hyrule. It's unlike any mountain I've ever known. I don't know much yet, but things happen there that happen on no other mountain I know of. Evil controls it. This is Legendary Adventures, a Legend of Zelda playthrough podcast. This week we're tracking the beast of the mountain up Snowpeak to the ruins at the top. Snowpeak is a lonely, mostly isolated region of Hyrule. It sits west of Zora's domain, or is that east? We know how confusing directions can be in this version of Hyrule. The region is of course covered in perpetual ice and snow. When Link arrives, he finds a lone figure staring out over an icy lake. Is that a Yeti? No, it's a Shay, the warrior woman of the Resistance. "What are you doing in a dangerous place like this?" she asks. Shay notes that the mountain seems to be colder than usual, if that can be believed. A great beast has also apparently been wandering into Zora's domain from the snowy region. It comes and takes red fish before heading back up the mountain. Shay saw the beast herself and managed to make a rough sketch of it. She gives it to Link. An intense blizzard discourages travel up the mountain, but the sketch from Shay will be the key to unlocking our path forward. We show the sketch to the Zora. They will mention the beast is holding a reekfish. Among the Zora, only Prince Rallis is known to be able to catch them. The prince, of course, is recovering in Kakariko Village. A convenient fast travel point takes us right there. Rallis has been recovering in the care of the shaman, Renato. Beth, the young girl from Ordon, notes that he's been depressed and spends his days in the graveyard. We know from past experience the graveyard is a sacred place for the Zora. There's a hidden pool there that's the final resting place of the late King Zora, who is presumably Rallis' father. We find him there at the grave. Rallis recognizes Link. Apparently his late mother appeared to him in a dream and showed him an image of Link. He thanks Link for all that he has done for him and for the Zora people. Rallis says he's willing to help Link if there's anything he ever needs. We show him a Shay sketch. He recognizes it instantly. The reekfish, he explains, is only found in Zora's domain. It feeds on a rare type of coral. Rallis has an earring that's shaped like a fishhook made from that coral. It's what he uses to catch reekfish. He gives his earring to Link and explains the reekfish are found near the mother and child rocks in the waterfall basin of the domain. We again travel to Zora's domain. On the east side of the waterfall basin, on the lower part of the domain, there are two stone pillars. One is tall and broad, the other is smaller and thinner. These are the Mother and Child rocks, which are of course a nod to the Mother and Child Isles of the Wind Waker. Red fish can be seen swimming in the water near the rocks. We use Link's fishing rod, the second and final required use of the rod, to haul up one of the fish. True to its name, it reeks. We transform into a wolf and learn the reekfish scent. Using this, we can track the beast of the mountain and find our way up through the blizzard. The music of Snowpeak is a new arrangement of what I call Link's Courage theme. Specifically, it's the main theme, or the A section of the theme. This version is cold and a bit thin. Female choir vocals form the bed upon which the melody is played. An electric guitar, perhaps, plays the melody at first. It seems reluctant to complete the full melodic phrase. A chilly synth takes over the melody about a minute in. This version of the theme is cold and mysterious with a hint of danger. We follow the scent across the frozen lake and up the mountain. White Wolfos enemies will leap from the snow to attack Link. There are also ice keys found on this region. We can largely ignore these enemies as we follow the scent up the mountain. The path winds around, and about midway up, we run into a ledge that is too high for Link to climb. It took me a minute to figure out what to do here on my HD version. I did not remember the solution. I spent some time fighting some of the Poes on the mountain as I thought it over. The solution is to ram into the wall. That makes a snowbank that's hanging over the ledge fall down and creates a ramp for Link to climb. A bit further up, we find our 6th Howling Stone. The song is another original song created for Twilight Princess, identified as Unnamed Song 2 in the Zelda Encyclopedia. In the mystical realm, Link and the Golden Wolf again howl the song together. The Gold Wolf seems to be set in between the castle and Death Mountain this time, closer to the mountain than to the castle. He challenges Link to find him, and his location is marked in the graveyard in Kakariko Village. The path up the mountain eventually ends in a dead end, and Link needs to dig into a cave. Inside the cave, we turn back into a human in order to continue the ascent. Once out of the cave, Link is on top of the mountain, in near whiteout conditions. There's a tree that can just barely be made out in the distance. We head that way only to be attacked by shadow beasts. Once they fall, the sky clears, and we can see a large bipedal creature standing next to the tree. It's covered in thick white fur and has a large ball-like tail. A horse saddle sits upon its head like a hat. In its hands is a large red fish. This is the beast of Snowpeak. His name is Yetto. He's a Yeti, of course. It's not common for a human to come up Snowpeak. Yetto asks Link if he's on a spiritual journey. We're given the option to pick either yes or no. I happened to pick no for both of my playthroughs. I didn't mean to, but I hadn't noted down the answer that I gave him, and I wound up picking the same. If you pick yes, there's another step in the conversation. Picking no gets you right on to the point. Yetto says he found a mirror and took it home. He invites Link to come and see it. The fastest way to get there is by snowboarding. Yetto hits the tree that he's standing under, and a large sheet of ice falls from it. He uses this sheet as a snowboard. We do the same, and we follow him. I suspect this snowboarding minigame was likely conceived by playable character designer Keisuke Nishimori, and it's all because he specifically denied it. In a 2005 article for Nintendo Power, Nishimori mentioned how he liked to snowboard, but he wrote, "Don't think I have a secret plan to have Link use some kind of snowboarding moves in the game. Methinks he doth protest too much." Now, it could be that at the time that he wrote that, there really wasn't snowboarding in the game. It could also just be that Nishimori was trying to keep the game from being spoiled and figured people would connect his writing about snowboarding with snowboarding being in the game. Or perhaps it wasn't his idea at all. I mean, I am just speculating. Another potential candidate for the idea, in my mind, is writer and cinema scene director Mitsuhiro Takano. In an Iwata Asks interview, he mentioned that he was part of the 1080 snowboarding team for the Nintendo 64, before he joined the Zelda team. He then worked exclusively on Zelda titles through Twilight Princess. After snowboarding down the hill, Link finds himself in front of an ornate building. Midna notes that this is a strange home for a beast man. It is, in fact, the next dungeon of the game. This is the Snowpeak Ruins. It's the most unique dungeon in the game. The ruins really subvert expectations of the traditional dungeon format. It spans 3 floors. In terms of shape, the interior is a good match for the exterior. The dungeon is laid out very much like an actual mansion. It has a circular tower in the back. Only the tower reaches the 3rd floor. The music of the dungeon is fittingly cold. It's anchored by a synth playing arpeggios. A bell instrument, xylophone perhaps, plays a light melody. Flute occasionally joins in with a counter melody. It's perfectly matched for the cold, icy setting. Yet, it's not always a chilly theme. When players enter the living room or kitchen, woodwinds are added. They play a warm, welcoming melody. When we first enter the mansion, it becomes clear that Yetto did not build this place. It is in fact a ruin that Yetto and his wife Yetta have taken up residence in. The stairwells in the front hall are crumbling, blocking off access to the 2nd floor. Several large paintings lay in a pile on the floor. The living room is immediately north of the entry hall. I wouldn't say that there's a single central room of this dungeon, but there are multiple rooms that Link will return to multiple times. The living room is one. An open-air courtyard to the north is the second. The kitchen may be the third. We meet Yetto's wife Yetta in the living room. She's wrapped in a blanket because she's feeling ill. She tells Link the mirror is kept in the bedroom. Yetta says that since her husband brought home the mirror, monsters have appeared in their home and she's gotten sick. They've locked the bedroom as a result. This sets up the basic premise of the flow of the dungeon. Yetta provides Link a map of the mansion and marks a room that she believes has the key. Spoiler alert, the first two rooms she marks do not have the key. Nonetheless, we must obtain the items held in these rooms in order to advance. Yetto is in the kitchen, which is just off the living room. He's making a soup to help Yetta feel better. The fish he caught is the primary ingredient. Yetto says Link can take some of the soup if he'd like. We can fill a bottle from the pot at any time. Initially, the soup is fairly weak and won't restore many hearts, but the soup does improve as we go. It's worth noting that Uku is also hidden in the kitchen. I managed not to pick her up until about midway through the dungeon on both my playthroughs, but players can get her pretty much right from the start. She's inside a pot behind a shelf that's just behind Yetto. Yetta first sends us to a room in the east wing. Remember to reverse these in the mirrored versions. In order to reach it, we pass through a room with a push block puzzle. The blocks sit on an icy floor and won't stop until they hit an obstacle. We've solved similar puzzles in Ocarina of Time and the Minish Cap at a minimum. We'll also pass through a central courtyard. The courtyard is split in half by a wall of ice. The snow is deep and white Wolfos enemies rise out of it. If Link is in wolf form, he can quickly cross the snow. In human form, he is slowed down by a deep drift. He finds a chest in the middle of the courtyard by digging. Inside is a small key. In the room that Yetta pointed us to, we don't find the key, but a pumpkin. We backtrack. Talking to Yetto in the kitchen is a must. He'll push Link to the ground and take the pumpkin from him. He's not being mean, he's just a Yeti who doesn't realize his own strength and how his actions might come off. The pumpkin improves the soup by making it a better healing item. In the living room, Yetta gives Link a new location to search for the key. This one takes us to the other side of the courtyard. We climb through a window to reach a mildly maze-like room packed with freezards. In this game, they're medium-sized masses of ice with red eyes. Link will be frozen if he touches them. Down a winding path, Link finds a cannon. This is the introduction of a major mechanic of the dungeon. There are a variety of cannons throughout the dungeon. Players push handles on either side of the cannon to rotate them. We shoot them by first placing a cannonball inside. There's a hole in the back of the cannon to drop the cannonball in. We can then place a bomb into that same hole to provide the powder. We use this first cannon to reach the compass. It reveals a second buried chest in the snow of the courtyard. This chest also contains a key. There is a cannon in the courtyard near the center. Up against the base of the tower is a giant freezard enemy. This one has multiple red eyes, a wicked mouth, and icy breath. Link cannot damage these giant freezards with his current arsenal. But using a seesaw mechanism in the wall of the stone hallway that runs alongside the courtyard, we can move a cannonball from inside to outside into the courtyard. We then use the cannon to shoot the freezard. Beyond the door that it was guarding, we find a long, narrow hallway. The door on the far side is locked, and that's because to unlock it, we must first defeat the mini-boss. It's a large ball and chain soldier known as Darkhammer. The music for the fight is shared with the Dangoro fight in the Goron Mines. Darkhammer is roughly humanoid in shape, though a good close look at it reveals it has a tail. The helmet also seems to be designed to hold a lizard-like head. Because the fight happens in a narrow hallway, there's not much room to dodge its attacks. I think the intended solution is to claw shot and get behind it, but I never do. The backslice could help us get behind it and hit its tail. I did take a lot of damage in both versions during this fight, but seeing as how there's a ready supply of free soup, I didn't worry too much. After a few rounds, the boss falls, and Link takes its ball and chain to use for himself. Through the door, we use the ball and chain to break a wall of ice in order to find a wheel of cheese in the treasure chest. Midna is getting frustrated at this point, but we backtrack again. In the kitchen, Yetto uses the cheese to create a superb soup. It fills 8 hearts, making it the equivalent of a red potion. We check with Yetta again and she reveals a possible location for the bedroom key on the 2nd floor. We need to take a long, circuitous path to get there. That's because a giant, multi-eyed Freezard sits at the top of the ladder leading to the room. There is a cannon in the center of the courtyard on the 2nd floor, but we need to get a cannonball to it. Yetta opens a door that takes us to a room with a spiraling ramp up to the 2nd floor. We need to take out a couple of giant Freezards in cages on the way up. At the top of the ramp, we find a cannon. We need to fire the cannon towards a hole in the opposite wall. But there are 2 large blocks stuffed into the hole. So, we'll take a long looping path in order to remove them. Just to the east of the cannon, the floor is uneven. We can destroy it with a bomb and drop down to reach an otherwise inaccessible chest with a piece of heart inside. Our path will also take us back through the front entryway, but we'll be up on the 2nd floor. Using the ball and chain, we can make chandeliers sway to cross a gap. In this front entry room, we can set 2 chandeliers to the south swaying and jump on them in order to reach a chest on a ledge at the far south with another heart piece. We do an alternate solve of the push block puzzle from earlier to get a block to rest on a switch in the center of the icy floor. We use the ball and chain to break the ice on a 3rd block and on the center switch in order to make it happen. We're taken to an area atop a crumbling wall on the east side of the courtyard. I'll admit to getting hung up here on my HD playthrough. I knew I was supposed to access a room adjacent to this crumbling wall area. There's also a hole in the wall leading to that room we're trying to reach, but I somehow completely overlooked a clawshot target high on the wall. Don't ask me how. I looked straight at it and did not connect what to do at first. I wound up wandering back through rooms looking for something I missed at first, only to end up right back on the crumbling wall and back at that clawshot target I overlooked. Oops. We grab a small key and then pass through a locked door that we previously had to pass by. We take out a couple giant Freezards, then we push the blocks filling the hole in the wall out. We're back in the spiraling ramp room with the cannon. We use a seesaw mechanism on the 1st floor to bring a cannonball into the spiral ramp room. We fire this cannonball through the hole in the wall where the blocks once stood. We then use a 2nd seesaw mechanism to bring the cannonball into the courtyard on the 2nd floor. We head outside, load the cannon on the 2nd floor, aim it, and take out the Freezard that's blocking our path. At the top of the ladder, we find a door leading to a chapel and a combat challenge. A number of stalactites in the room are actually ice soldier enemies known as Chilfos. We can take them out fairly easily with the ball and chain, along with just about every pew in the chapel. Bars are removed from the inner door and we get the bedroom key from the chest. This key stands out from other big keys. The bow or handle is shaped like a heart, and it's blue in color. We exit the room and find Yetto waiting for us. She says she's feeling better and will go with us to the bedroom to see the mirror. The very first time I played this game, back in 2007 or 8 or so, my memories of Blind the Thief from A Link to the Past immediately came to mind. We now know who the boss is, but what form she'll take is still unclear. The bedroom is massive and obviously was not intended to be a sleeping space. An elaborate 4-poster bed with a canopy on one side of the room is dwarfed by the scale of the space. Yetta shows Link the mirror. As she gazes at herself, admiring her own beauty, we have to assume she looks pretty good for a Yeti. She begins to twitch, and the room darkens. Pretty, pretty, mirror, lovely, she says as her voice takes on an edge of distress. She then turns to Link and transforms. Her head rotates around to reveal a face with large red eyes and even bigger fangs. And I gotta say that this transformation underwhelms me every time. I think the build-up is good, it's just the actual reveal. The fact that we see her face rotate around has always struck me as being ineffective. I think had she simply turned around already transformed, the payoff would be better, but I digress. This is a boss fight. Yetta transforms into the Twilight Ice Mask Blizzetta. The fight plays out in 2 phases. The music has 3 phases. The first phase of the music is big and dramatic, with choral chants over bells playing arpeggios. In her first phase, Blizzetta is just truly a mass of ice. It's elaborately carved ice to be sure, but it's a mass all the same that slides slowly towards Link at first. We hit it with the ball and chain, which causes it to move faster. After 3 hits, it changes shape and has sort of a skirt of ice spikes. It also begins to generate waves of small freezards, but neither Blizzetta nor her attacks prove to be much of a danger, for me at least. After about 6 hits or so, the fight moves on to the next phase. Blizzetta transforms. A crystalline icebox forms around the possessed Yetto, and great pointed pillars of ice form around her in the air. The music shifts. It features swirling strings and organ arpeggios over a steady drumbeat. A slow organ melody plays over the top, climaxing with the return of choral vocals. In the second phase, we use the reflection on the floor to track the movements of the boss. It's an idea that we first saw with the giant Spider-Ganon puppet fight in The Wind Waker, though the execution here is ultimately different. Blizzetta hurls the pillars of ice at Link. We avoid them, and once they've all fallen, it's a good idea to break at least one of them using the ball and chain. Blizzetta will then draw the pillars back up and form a ring around Link with them in order to trap him inside. After the pillars fall, Blizzetta herself will then drop down into the center. This is when we have to land a hit on her. It's easier to do if we have broken at least one of the pillars and created an easy escape route for ourselves. We need to hit Blizzetta 3 times. After hitting her this second time, the music shifts again. Additional instrumentation comes in, including horns, and they play the advantageous theme, or what I refer to as the B section of Link's Courage theme. After the final hit, Blizzetta falls. The ice melts, and the Mirror of Twilight reforms for Link and Midna to take. Midna says that we have 2 more pieces left. She expresses regret over having to fight Yetto. To think the Mirror of Twilight has the power to change people like that, she says. This world, all worlds, can be cruel. She urges Link to help her find and gather the remaining 2 pieces of the mirror to prevent more innocent creatures from being hurt by it. As Link and Midna prepare to leave, Yetto appears. He quickly rushes to the side of his beloved wife and knocks down Link in the process. Yetto asks what happened. Yetto tells her it was only a dream. She notices the mirror is missing, but Yetto tells her to forget it. He suggests she instead look into his eyes to see her reflection. He says that within that reflection, she will see true beauty. Who needs a mirror? The Yetis embrace. As they do, recovery hearts pour out of them, followed by a heart container, a show of true love. We take the heart container and we exit the dungeon. Next week, we will find the mirror shard held in the ancient grove. If you want to follow along, please subscribe. And if you've already subscribed, thank you. You are awesome. I'm Paul Riley, and I will see you next week.